Despite the 15 penalties for 100 yards, despite the 5 consecutive 3-and-outs, and despite falling behind with just under 90 seconds to play, they dug deep, they got the job done, and now they return home a perfect 2-0.
Oh, you can feel the energy. It's starting to become palpable. You're seeing a lot of crimson.
From a frigid, bone-chilling Indianapolis International Airport, where the current temperature is just about 17, 18 degrees. Not many teams come into the college football playoff 13-0 with a giant chip on their shoulders, but as the first non-Power 5 team to ever make a college football playoff, well, Cincinnati is here in Dallas, and they got something to prove. Oh, he's just 32 years old. The former player turned manager is considered one of the smartest young minds in all of baseball. He's a rising star. Jeff Stricker shot a 65 today. That's good for 7 under, and hey, it was a bogey-free round. So considering that he was in a hospital bed just months ago, an incredibly successful day for Steve Stricker here at Greystone. Nobody thought in this building that the Auburn Tigers were going to go home tonight, but they were just simply beaten to the punch by a hungrier, smarter, and more disciplined basketball team. The game right behind me just finishing up. The Texas A&M Aggies have defeated the Notre Dame Fighting Irish 5-1, so now the field that was once 8 has now been whittled down to 5. Auburn hoping to stay in that group as we head into the night.
If you're a Georgia fan, you're hoping that 40 years of torment and misery end tonight here at Lucas Oil.
You said it was a race of patience, 90 laps. You made your move on turn 5 at lap 62, talking through how difficult it is to stay patient and then pounce when the moment strikes. We got these Under Armour t-shirts that read, "I went to Auburn football practice and all I got was this war damn t-shirt." Harson having a little fun with the media here on the first day of fall camp. We'll see if he keeps up that sense of humor as the Tigers get ready for a gauntlet of an SEC schedule.
Yeah, Jeff, I don't think you can get closer than this. I'm basically hip checking with the Blazers players as they take the field. But yes, Jeff, welcome into the hottest ticket in town.
This was far from a perfect performance. Bryce Young did throw 2 interceptions, and in the second quarter, the offense feels like it sometimes lulls to sleep. This finish is up there in the pantheon of great games in the history of Jordan-Hare Stadium, and that's truly saying something. Early in the afternoon, and there they are right now. Don't you love live TV? The UAB Blazers will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. From the Iron City to the Steel City, they'll be taking on the Houston Cougars. The hay's all in the barn now. All we have left to do is wait till Friday when it's Auburn-Jacksonville State with a trip to the round of 32 on the line. Let the madness begin. Jamie, they call it the big one. Talladega Super Speedway, the site of the most intense 2.6-mile drive in all of racing. Georgia fans outnumbering Alabama fans by at least 5 or 6 to 1. There are grown men barking in our faces. There's very much a pro-Georgia crowd, at least early on. And the 2 questions people here in the Southeast are going to be asking, A, will Alabama be the #1 team in all the land heading into the semifinals? And B, how far will Georgia fall? I'm coming to you from Dallas, Texas, the site of the 2021 Cotton Bowl and big 10-gallon hats. Here in Dallas, well, they dress to impress. You have to take advantage of all your opportunities because when you play Alabama, they're so few and far between. And Luke Fickell's Bearcats, they're going to have to do that and then some tomorrow if they want to pull up the upset. We have you completely covered, and that's going to include the highlights with Jeff Spiegel coming up in sports. And who's excited? Me! Last week, Talladega, Geico 500. This week, it's the Grand Prix of Alabama. Hey, it's the racing capital of the world. Jimmy Johnson, thanks so much for a couple minutes of your time. Good luck Sunday. Running the football and playing defense, and specifically about that defense, well, they had some playmakers flying all over the place. Guys like Brian Branch had one of his best games as a member of the Crimson Tide. Henry To'oTo'o, who was always so clutch as a middle linebacker, and then, of course, Will Anderson Jr., who wins the defensive MVP. Auburn's team defense nationally ranked 61st. That's just not going to get the job done. Despite a lengthy lightning delay, well, they didn't allow the weather to rain on their parade of points, that is. Georgia knew the only way they could earn their respect from the nation was to go at the champ and knock them out. And that's exactly what they did. Speaking of Javon Quinterly, he very well may be the X factor for the Crimson Tide this week here in the Sunshine State. We said the Crimson Tide were limping into the SEC tournament. Now it's more like they're crawling into the NCAA tournament. Backwards. Earlier this afternoon, we had a chance to meet with head coach Nick Saban as he met with reporters inside the Malmore Athletic Facility at about 4:45. From one of the greatest cities our nation has to offer, Austin, Texas, the home to the University of Texas, where tomorrow the Crimson Tide and the Longhorns are set to do battle for the first time in well over a decade. It was Texas who controlled pace, controlled tempo, and dictated much of this football game up until the 4th quarter. But at the end of the day, Alabama has Bryce Young, and he once again came up massive in crunch time. From one step off the plane, well, head coach Nick Saban made one thing abundantly clear: this is a business trip. However, the recipe of rain, wind, and cold, well, that's the perfect mixture for a little football weather. Competed in the NCAA tournament, a huge step forward for this program. Is that now the basement? What's the ceiling for this program? Is that a place you envision your team being each and every season?
It's the story that won't die. Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, they've been feuding for it feels like an eternity. It's only been 2 weeks.
KD Johnson is the proverbial straw that stirs the drink for Auburn, and if they're going to go on a deep run this tournament season, they're going to need KD Johnson to be at his best. Nick Saban led them off the plane and onto the tarmac as he's done 8 prior times. They had to navigate a boatload of injuries and inconsistent play in the fourth quarter, and that spelled as a recipe for disaster for the Crimson Tide. Walker Kessler only had 2 points in this game, and he was held without a field goal, 0 of 8. He didn't play the last 6.5 minutes. Mamba mentality on full display, and COBY is going to try to play like KOBE come Friday afternoon. I'm not sure what's more surprising, the fact that we even got this game in today ahead of this rainstorm, or the fact that the Crimson Tide are still alive here in the SEC baseball tournament. The old saying goes, you can't win a game in the first inning, but you can certainly lose one. The only question we've been asking Hog fans, would they rather win the Jello Shot Challenge or the College World Series? It's been a tough question to answer. Will Levis right there, grew up a native New Englander, grew up watching Tom Brady play for the Patriots, and he's kind of adopted that strange TB12 diet. He eats bananas whole, that's with the skin, and then for a substitute for creamer in his coffee, what does he put in? Mayonnaise. I don't know if I'm doing that anytime soon. I'm just going to stick to cream and sugar. It's UAB, it's Alabama A&M. Who's got it better than us? Football is back here in Birmingham. Ray Liotta's performance of Henry Hill in Goodfellas is on par with anything Brady ever did in a Super Bowl, any goal Gretzky ever scored in a Game 7, and that Coco Cabana tracking shot scene, well, that might just edge out Jordan's shot on ELO in 1989.
And that's pressure, 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 because if you give Bryce Young all day, he's going to scorch you like he did tonight.
You know every single word?
You know I know every single word to the road time.
It's Sweet Home Alabama in the Lone Star State.
We're in Dallas, Texas.
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, the prairie sky is wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Welcome to the Lone Star State, the host of this year's Goodyear Cotton Bowl. And if you haven't been to Texas in a while, well, let me assure you, this isn't the old Wild West. Things are changing here. Now, this was the site of the original Cotton Bowl. That was until 2010, however. Now this is the new home of the Cotton Bowl, AT&T Stadium just down the road in Arlington, home to the 5-time Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. And, well, it leads credence to the old saying, everything's bigger in Texas.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Now, question is Texas technically the South? Well, regardless if you consider the Lone Star State part of the geographical South, they've certainly taken Southern hospitality to the next level. Foosball, Pop-A-Shot, Space Invaders. This is the Cotton Bowl's Media Hotel Hospitality Room that doubles as a sports writer's Chuck E. Cheese. 3 meals a day, unlimited snacks, and all the Dr. Pepper you can drink.
All right, all right, all right.
But there's plenty of good eats here in Dallas, and sure, there's a Whataburger on almost every corner, but if you fancy yourself a barbecue connoisseur, well, Dallas has you covered. Pulled pork, ribs, brisket. This city has it all, and here in Texas, well, they put barbecue sauce on everything.
Texas forever, Street.
Texas forever.
Well, we are here to cover a football game after all, and this college football season, it's been a roller coaster ride to say the least. And in Dallas, they're all about their fashion. Bolo ties, boots, and big 10-gallon hats. Here in Dallas, well, they dress to impress. But this Boston boy is no J.R. Ewing.
In the building, South Fork.
So no doubt about it, this is a big game with big stakes being played in a very big state. And we can't wait to bring you all the action. Deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Johnny Congdon, ABC 3340 Sports. The slogan goes, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on your car insurance. But Sunday at the Geico 500, it was more like 15 seconds can take you from a humble finish to victory lane at Talladega.
Larson moved up, and then Eric went up to block him, and this opened up. I crossed the line, and I could not believe it. I'm looking around, and he's like calling me to the win, and I couldn't honestly understand that we won until the backstretch.
There's a number of nicknames that are iconic within the sport of NASCAR. Dale the Intimidator Earnhardt, Richard the King Petty, front row Joe Nemechek. Well, now there's a new nickname on the Cup Series, Ross the Melon Man Chastain, and he's a champion at Talladega.
These watermelons on the front stretch have never tasted sweeter. Yeah, rocks, grime, rubber, doesn't matter. A little bit of oil, it's good for the soul.
And after celebrating in Victory Lane at Dega with Kid Rock, well, you can be sure he's going to be singing Sweet Home Alabama all summer long.
How cool is it to hang out with Kid Rock after winning at Talladega?
That was pretty cool, man. He's been in a few races, so now to get he's a friend of Trackhouse, so really awesome.
And it was a near perfect day Sunday afternoon at Talladega. The fans were out in droves, the sun was shining all day long, and of course chaos on the final lap. Just another reason why this track is the most exciting in all of motorsports. From Talladega Superspeedway, I'm Johnny Congdon, ABC 3340 Sports.